Hello, 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 and welcome to my podcast, Life with Jode, where we talk about anything and everything. On today's episode of Life with Jode, we're going to be talking about depression and anxiety, a mental health issue I have been suffering with for a very, very long time. We're going to be delving into where it started, the reasons as to why, the friendships, the school life, the work life, the relationships, how it's unfortunately been able to maintain, how I am trying to overcome this, all the issues that contribute to why someone can be so unhappy and experience these thoughts and feelings in a day-to-day life, how we can support one another and make each other thrive and just be the best version of ourselves. So without further ado, let's get into it. I've unfortunately had to suffer with this mental health problem for a very long time. I got diagnosed with depression and anxiety around 9 years ago when I was around 16-ish years old. I do believe that it was an issue beforehand, but they obviously don't like to diagnose so early on. When I was in secondary school, I suffered a lot with bullying. I was overweight and extremely spotty for my age, which caused a lot of people to pick on me and bully me throughout my 5 years at secondary school, which was where the issues started and arose. I had several different friendship groups that were all very cliquey and very, if you fall out with one, you will fall out with all of them. It was a case of which day are we falling out with which person, who are we going to be giving so much grief to. Girls can be extremely cruel and they will jump to the first thing that they want to, which is someone's weight or the way someone looks. It is something that I had to deal with for a very, very long time. And unfortunately, due to these girls being in the same classes as me and the same cliques as me, I couldn't just escape. So I had to unfortunately deal with that a lot. They would call me fat, whale, all the names under the sun to do with weight. They would take the piss out of my face because I suffered really bad with acne in school. I was very spotty, so it would like connect the dots and all that jazz, which obviously isn't ideal for anyone to go through. We did bring this up with school, but they didn't really do much about it. It wasn't only the girls that picked on me, it was also the boys. Never got away from it. There would be a couple of days or maybe even weeks in school where I would be in a clique and I thought, oh, they're finally being my friend now. And then as soon as you do something wrong, say something wrong, act a different way, they would then flip it all back onto you again. So school was a very much drama and the bad kind of drama. I was also picked on for having a weird personality. I was very much into drama. I wanted to do performing arts. I wanted to pursue acting. But over the years of the wrong kind of attention, the bullying, the being picked on, as soon as I got called out, I went bright red and everyone called me tomato and all that. After very many years of experiencing that kind of bullying, I thought acting wasn't for me. I lost all confidence in myself. I lost all self-esteem, all the good things that someone should have about their own appearance, and the thoughts that they have just completely went. It was gone. So a lot of the depression stemmed from the bullying and being picked on. Anxiety was a big thing in school. I used to wake up every morning and cry to my mum. I don't want to go to school today. They're going to be calling me names again today. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I can't learn. I also felt like I was very not academically there. I didn't really understand what was going on in school, which also gave me a confidence knock because I was in a low set for near enough everything. I didn't understand what was going off, and it was just, school wasn't for me. School is not for everyone. If you are excelling at school, that is great for you. But school was definitely not for me, and was definitely the place where my unfortunate depression and anxiety came from. There was extremely low moods. There were days where I didn't want to be there anymore. There was a little bit of a self-harming incident, should I say, where I was extremely down and decided to, unfortunately, there was some incidences where I was so unhappy with my life. The only way I could let the build up of emotion out was to, unfortunately, do some not very nice things to myself. I have overcome that stage of my life and love my life. No matter how down I am, I do love my life, and I would never take my own life. And if anyone is feeling like they will take their own life, please find someone to talk to, reach out to someone, if that wants to be me or another friend or someone with power. Please reach out, because I don't want anyone feeling the way that I've felt before, or being in a situation where they can't reverse the effects of what they've tried to do. When I was around 16 years of age, I unfortunately found myself pregnant with the partner that I had been with for a couple of months. There was a lot of betrayal, cheating, manipulation. I didn't realise that I was pregnant until my mum went, "There's something not right with you. Your period's late. It's never late. Take a test." So I did exactly what she told me to. I took a test. It came back positive, and from that point, it was and is all a blur. It's part of my life that I remember certain aspects of, but I try to choose to forget about it because it's not a happy part of my life. Because I was so young, my mum helped me the best she could. She advised to terminate the pregnancy, which I look back now and I am extremely happy that I did. It's going to sound horrible, especially for people that are struggling to get pregnant, but it was the best thing for me. I am definitely happy with the decision that I made, especially at such a young age. Obviously, there was things I could have done to prevent the situation from happening, but we didn't, and it is what it is. It's a part of my life, it's a part of my story, it's a part of my past. But it is a hard thing to go through, especially at such a young age. I unfortunately made the mistake of telling a few people at school, which led to people being extremely rude and insensitive towards my decision on what I had decided to do for my well-being and my mental health and my future in life. He ended up coming to my doorstep on the day before my surgery, asking for us to try keep the baby. Not something that I really would advise anyone to go through, because it is such an emotional, mental torture on not just you but everyone involved. So that was a big lead up to me, unfortunately, being in the mental state that I am now and was back then, leading me to go onto, unfortunately, antidepressants to help with day-to-day life. I believe around the end of secondary school was when I took to a doctor's appointment myself. I rang up my doctors, asked for a doctor's appointment, got to a doctor's appointment, and I just burst out into tears. I was so unhappy, so unhealthy in my mind and my mental state. I didn't know how to focus on anything but the negativity. I could never focus on my schoolwork. I was so wrapped up in the unfortunate day-to-day life I was having. I couldn't do a normal day. So that was when I first got put onto antidepressants, but I did take them for around a year. I got put on a waiting list to speak to Sheffield Talking Therapies, which normally will take around 3 to 4 months for you to get your first face-to-face kind of like chat with anyone. And at the point that they called me to book me in, I was having a high, so I thought, I don't want to be wasting anyone's time. I ended up asking to be taken off the list and didn't pursue any sort of talking therapy. After leaving school, I decided to go to college not in my city, so I was kind of like on the border of Sheffield and Chesterfield. So I decided to, instead of going to Sheffield College, I decided to go to Chesterfield College. I first of all wanted to pursue hairdressing and beauty. I took a year in hairdressing, but found out again that you do get a lot of bitchy people. If your face didn't fit, neither did you, basically. There was a lot of indirect bullying going off in college, because at this point girls are very creative in the way that they want to pick on people. So after about a year of hairdressing, I decided to no longer take it any further. I then pursued on to travel and tourism. I felt like this year of college was a lot better and a lot healthier in the mind aspect of things for myself. I was also working a job at the time that was progressing to management, so I felt like I had my life in order, really. And I did have a couple of down days, but they weren't anything that I couldn't handle. When I finished travel and tourism for my year, I pursued business for half a year, and unfortunately my nan passed away that year at Christmas time. And I thought, I'm so unhappy. I am not enjoying what I thought I was enjoying anymore. Life is about having fun and making the most of your life and making memories. But along with the down and depressive moments of losing a family member, more specifically for me, my nan, I took it upon myself to leave college and pursue my job, which at the time was becoming a manager at KFC, which I thought, amazing, I am 18, this is going to be the best decision for myself, it's an amazing accomplishment. So I did that, I pursued that, and it was the best thing I ever did. Unfortunately, due to a lot of the people that I was working with were older than me, some of them much older than me, I didn't particularly have any friends, and the friends that I did have were working friends, and sometimes it would just clash and it wouldn't be very healthy. I never really set any boundaries in that working relationship, so it made sometimes working harder for me, because they thought, oh well, I'm your friend outside of work, and let me get away with anything and everything, which is not what I wanted to do. That's not the kind of management role I wanted to pursue. The depression again kicked in a little bit at that point, because I felt extremely alone. I was taking my antidepressants and working a lot of hours. I was working 50 to 60 hours a week. It was just crazy. And as soon as I got into a relationship with someone, I wanted to start dropping my hours, which was then kind of like a black mark against my name. They didn't like that idea of me no longer being so full and involved with work. When I got into this relationship with a certain somebody, it wasn't the healthiest of relationships, if I'm truly honest. There was a lot of narcissism, there was a lot of, you can't do this, I can do this though. It's okay for me to be talking to other people and commenting and liking and loving other females' pictures. It's okay for me to go incognito for 12 hours and not respond to you, but as soon as you do it to me, it's not going to happen and I'm in the wrong. I ended up in this time leaving my job at KFC as a shift manager and moving on to a job at McDonald's to then pursue being a shift manager there. Within a good couple of months of me working at McDonald's, this relationship, it turned very angry. A lot of arguing, a lot of harsh words being spread, not just by him. I'm not going to say that I was perfect, I really wasn't. There was a lot of me giving it back, It was a very toxic and unhealthy relationship for many reasons. I was unhappy in my job because I couldn't have friends, especially of the opposite gender, but they were okay to have friends of the opposite gender and it not be an issue. One night I found some things on their phone that didn't sit well with me. When I confronted them, they kicked off big time and it turned into a physical fight, which led me to, because at the time they were living with me and my mum, it led to me kicking them out and unfortunately being left with quite a few bruises on my body. I then rang the police and we did a statement. I ended up putting a restraining order on them so they couldn't come near me or my place of work because obviously they knew where I worked. I did try and keep it a secret from work because I didn't want to be that person, that one that got all the sympathy, but due to where the bruises were located on my body, especially my arms, when I was doing my job, they started to show. I explained to him what had gone off. With everything that went off, I went back onto my antidepressants again. I was such a mess at this point. This was about 3 months before lockdown hit in 2020. An old friend reached out to me, long story short, should have known better, that a leopard never changes its spots. So they reached out to me and was like, oh, I've heard, I hope you're okay. If you need anything, I'm here. I've gone through something similar. At the time, I was so alone and needed something to get my mind off things. So I took them up on their offer of meeting up and catching up, which led to around a 2-month friendship of going out quite a lot, drinking quite a lot. And then that turned into a lot of backstabbing and storytelling with other friends. Just before lockdown, I lost 3 people I thought I was extremely close to me due to people spreading rumours and not listening to my side of the story, already choosing who they wanted to believe. Bearing in mind, 2 of these people only just knew this person for 2 months, 3 months. So that was really disheartening, really ripped me to pieces at that point. I went into lockdown with no one. So during lockdown, I was again on my antidepressants. Everything that happened, I was struggling to process. I was finding it hard to navigate, to find who I was again. Me in a relationship, I tend to bend the person that I am to fit the person that I'm with. And that is exactly what I did for that person. I bent the person that I was meant to be into someone that was trying to find myself in lockdown. Was extremely difficult. I began drinking quite a lot of alcohol, didn't particularly get out much in the first lot of lockdown. I had 3 months off of work, which was probably not the best thing because I was left with my thoughts and my feelings. After the first lockdown had come to an end and I was going back to work, at this point I was under a lot of stress and pressure with my weight, as during lockdown I had put on around 4 stone, I think it was. Probably one of my highest weights I'd ever been at this point, and a lot of it was due from eating my feelings, binge eating because of the depression. The antidepressants made my hunger 10 times worse. I was also having trouble with spots still due to the stress of everything that was going off. I ended up getting acne cysts, which is a buildup of fluid underneath the skin. I was in between appointments with a specialist with the NHS in regards to my spot treatment. I got put on really strong acne medication, which led to me finally getting rid of them horrible spots, horrible cysts, which did bring up my confidence and self-esteem 100%. Being able to look in the mirror and being happy with what I saw with my face, natural, not having to feel like I have to hide my face with concealer and all that. So by the end of 2020, I had thankfully found a solution to get rid of my spots. I did have just one dog at the time. We had the family dog, the little Shih Tzu. So I was walking her in the park for about an hour to an hour and a half. I was slowly dropping weight, which in lockdown, with not much being open, it was perfect. I was happy with that. I was happy with the person I was becoming. I then got into another relationship. This one was a lot healthier. I was a lot happier. But again, I changed myself to fit that person. My music taste had changed. If we put on a film, it would most likely be what they wanted to watch. And unfortunately, that one lasted 3 months and it broke off due to him being in uni and having a dissertation to do, having multiple different friends. At this point, I didn't really have many friends. I was just seeing him, going to work, and that was it. So a lot of my time was wanting to be spent with him, where a lot of his time was wanting to be spent with friends, family, and obviously on his uni work, which is completely understandable. I don't hate him for that. I did a little bit at the time when he broke things off with me. I found that extremely hard. I felt like I was finding myself. I was losing weight naturally. I was getting healthier and happier and overcoming the horrible situation I had been in a year before that. There was a lot of self-doubt. There was a lot of, why am I not good enough? Why is this happening to me? So once the relationship ended, I was a bit scatterbrained. I didn't know what to do with myself. I went through a lot of emotions, a lot of them obviously not very healthy emotions. At this point, I only had one friend to kind of like fall back on. I ended up leaving my job at McDonald's and worked in a pub, which now I look back on wasn't the best decision because I did end up drinking a lot to suppress them feelings. I feel like a lot of when a dramatic thing happens in my life, it leads to me to drink alcohol to try and close the hole that has been opened. After this, I went back into doing hair. I chose to pay to go privately and do my level 3 in hairdressing to be able to get qualified. I was on Tinder and was swiping away while I was on a break. Ended up scrolling across a guy. This guy was, at the time, perfect. He was funny, attractive, and all the right things, and was just, it felt right at the time. I pursued that relationship. I was with that person for around about a year, and it was the worst relationship I had ever been in. At this point, I had lost quite a bit of weight. I was on a bit of a self-help journey, trying to be a better me, trying to be the best I can be. This person from the start was lovely. He would go the extra mile, he would say all the right things, and then as soon as the relationship started getting comfortable was where all the issues started to arise. I had a gay best friend from working at McDonald's. I was still in contact with a few people from McDonald's, and he wouldn't want it. He kept saying, he says he's gay, he's not gay, he's trying to get in your pants. Do you really think someone would love someone like you? Type of scenario, and very, very rude in the way he spoke to me. But for some reason, I just took it like a mug. I took it. This is it now. This is what we've got. He lived with his dad up in the attic room, which was dark and dingy and dull, and there was no life. He was a very gamer boy, PC. My mental health deteriorated again. The job that I had at the pub went from working behind the bar to early morning cleaning shifts, which I did ask to do, but didn't realise that they wanted me to work 7 days a week, 3 a.m. till 6 a.m. I ended up leaving that job and going back to McDonald's again, the same branch that I worked at before, working back with all my friends again. This guy didn't like that. He hated me working back at McDonald's. He hated the fact that I had a clique with people. He hated the fact that I had a life other than him, and I wanted to start spending time with them people. He just didn't enjoy it. He didn't like it. He would bring me down all the time. He then started messaging this girl who I didn't feel comfortable with He'd be telling our issues to that person. They'd be FaceTiming all the time, which I found really weird, to say that she just came out of the blue. When I called him out on it, it was like, she's just a friend, she's just this, there's nothing to be worried about. I then later found out that they had a relationship while she was married, so it clearly didn't stop her. I also found out that there was a potential that kid that she had was his. I was again back on my medication with this relationship. It had took its toll. I didn't know how to keep going. And at this point, I was so deep in the relationship because I had done things to try and prove to this person that I was all for them, that there was no issues, that there was no one else. I bought him a very expensive PC. I helped him out and loaned him the money that we agreed he'd pay me back. Spoiler alert, he didn't. We was arguing quite a lot. We weren't happy, but neither of us wanted to break off the relationship. My reason for not wanting to break it off was due to the fact that he owed me a lot of money, and the fact that I thought if he wasn't with me anymore, he wouldn't pay me back, which was my scare. We then went on a holiday with his family, which was an experience. While we're on holiday, I had gained weight, quite a bit of weight, significant weight. By day 2, we were arguing. So I just wanted to sit by the pool, chill out, relax. He didn't appreciate that. He wanted to be up and about. He wanted to go everywhere and explore everything, which is fair enough. But we didn't see eye to eye on that conversation. I said, we'll chill out for the morning. We'll go out in the afternoon. He didn't want to. He wanted to do what he wanted when he wanted. So that's when the situation started to unfold, that he was no longer shy of being so rude to me in front of his family members and even people that were just enjoying their holiday. He had been extremely rude to me. I told him, that's it, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't deal with the way that you're speaking to me. You're being so rude for no reason. I've not done anything wrong. He then decided to go ghost mode and turn off all of his locations for his phone and Snapchat and stuff like that, because he was very controlling. He had all access to my social medias, my Find My iPhone, Snap location and everything. I was definitely living under a microscope with this relationship. I just let him blow off some steam. By this time, it was getting quite late and I was going back to our hotel room to find him unconscious on the bathroom floor with a bottle of whiskey on the floor, puke everywhere, with, you couldn't even write it, a picture of me on his phone. It was a scene. At this point, he had re-downloaded Tinder. He had added this girl back that I asked him not to speak to anymore, the one that he slept with and possibly had a kid with. I then turned around and said to his mum, look, I'm sorry for ruining your holiday, but I'm not having anyone treat me the way that your son's treating me. I can't do it anymore. I'm going to be nice and civil for you guys. He would play a lot of mind games at that point, say very extremely rude things to me in front of anyone and everyone and think that it was okay. He was very, very dramatic in the way that he would be. There was a lot of mind games, and as soon as I decided to change all my passwords to my social medias, so that he could no longer go on them, that's when a lot of verbal abuse was given to me. My thought was, I can't wait to get home. And on the final day, he tried winning me back. I turned around and said, I'm sorry, but I'm not interested. I can't do it. I can't cope with the way that you're being with me. I can't cope with the way you're speaking to me, how you're treating me. It's not right. As soon as I said no, that was it. It was 2.0 on the arguments. It was another one unleashed. So when I got home, I ended up giving him back all of his stuff, and he gave me back most of mine, apart from the computer that I still haven't been paid back for yet. And then got into another depression spiral of I was happy I was out of it, but now who the hell am I? I lost myself again in yet another relationship. I spiraled and spiraled. I went drinking again, as always. All I ever really wanted was validation from people. All I ever wanted was to be the best I could be for people. I would bend over backwards and change myself to fit around people. And each time it had led me to heartbreak, another depression spiral, another being unhappy in myself, another losing the confidence and self-esteem. There was a lot after that of finding me. I finally found someone that loved me for me. After just under a year, I re-downloaded Hinge and found my now boyfriend of nearly 2 years, which I am so happy I have him in my life. He loves me for me. I haven't changed myself to match him. He has his things, I have my things. He supports me in everything that I do. I support him in everything he does. There is no narcissism. There is no disrespectful. There is a lot of open and honest talks, which is something that I've put in place. Because if you can't be open and honest with the person you love, then what kind of relationship is that? And we both express the way we feel in a situation. We both give thoughts and opinions and feelings. We both respect each other enough to love and cherish that. And the past 2 years, there have been ups and downs within the dynamic of the relationship. Relationship between me and him has been perfect. We have put boundaries in place for each other, respected one another, respected the thoughts and feelings and opinions that we both have against certain situations. It is the most healthiest relationship I have ever been in. There are still little things that we both need to remind each other of, but that is the beauty of having such a healthy relationship with someone. I do get down still a lot. I do suffer with depression and anxiety, more the anxiety part of it. I do get a bit anxious on doing new things. I've always been extremely anxious in any situation throughout my life, meeting new people, going to new jobs, but you've got to push your boundaries, otherwise you will be stuck in the same rut for the rest of your life. And that is what I'm trying to do this year. That is the reason for the podcast. That is the reason for my YouTube and all the activities that I've got this year. I'm going to the bariatric ball. I'm going to be doing a beauty pageant for the bariatric community. But yes, depression either going to be with you for a very long time, or it may only be with you for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. You have the depression that I've experienced through years of bullying and unfortunate, unhealthy relationships. You've also got postpartum depression. I've never experienced that. I'm not too sure exactly what it's like, but from what I've heard, there's a lot of self-doubt and stuff like that from the people close to me that I've gone through that unfortunate time after giving birth to such a bundle of joy, just having so much self-doubt on yourself, trying to be the best you can be, but also being run on 0% of energy. There is also a chemical imbalance in the brain for someone to have depression for such a long period of time, which I do believe is the aspect of why I am so down as a person in certain situations, and why I struggle to get out of such down moods. My depression unfortunately lasts around 2 weeks to 3 months. I also do believe there's some more underlying issues to my mental health and the reason why I feel and act and do certain things. There is talks with my GP about ADHD or OCD, with the way that my mental health works, because I am an overthinker, which will be spoken about in another episode. I am such a people pleaser. Again, another one that I'm going to be speaking about because it is so close to me. I dwell on past situations way too much, which makes it hard for me to struggle for the day to day. Especially while I'm at work, I will be stacking up shelves and I'll be thinking, oh, that comment that someone mentioned to me 3 weeks ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, I should have replied to them like this. But if I did reply to them like this, would it have made it worse or would it have made it better? And it is literally just an endless cycle. So it is something I am trying to get over. It is something I am working on. I am extremely lucky that my partner is so open to what is going off and supportive in every aspect of my life. He takes a lot of things with a pinch of salt, which I am so happy for, because sometimes when I'm in a mood, I'm in a mood. And I don't mean what I say sometimes, or it comes out in a way that wasn't meant to be expressed in that way. But at the time, with whatever's going off in my mind, that's how it comes out. And he's very easygoing and very understanding. And I'm so grateful for the fact that he is sticking around and he is with me every step of the way. He does make jokes sometimes about which personality he's going to be getting, because I have about 10. But we have a laugh and a joke about it, and that's just so refreshing and so amazing to have. And I hope that if you are suffering with depression and anxiety or anything that I have mentioned today, that you have someone, whether that be your partner, your husband, your children, your mom, your dad, a family member, a close friend, that will support you in any way, shape, or form to have a better life for you. Like I said earlier, if you are struggling with anything, if you need someone to speak to, someone that doesn't know you, please don't hesitate to drop me a message. I have got my email, which is at lifewithjode@gmail.com. I have 2 Instagrams, which is @_lifewithjode_ or at Jode's Gastric Bypass. I am also available on Facebook. I am so here to support people in trying to move forward in such a difficult stage of their lives. This story has been extremely hard for me to tell today, and I have been putting this story off for a very long time, because I am being so vulnerable and so transparent about my life. I know I'm probably going to get a bit of judgment for what has been said today, but everything that I have done has led me to where I am now. I am so happy and so grateful for the way my life has turned out. There are things that I'd love to go back and change to not have to experience what I've experienced, but we can't change our past. We can only move forward and make the better decisions for the future. That is what I'm trying to focus on and what I'm trying to fixate on for 2025. If you have a story to share, big or small, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me via email, lifewithjode@gmail.com, or message me on my Instagram, which is @_lifewithjode_ or @Jode's Gastric Bypass. All of these will be in the link below. You can listen to my podcast on Podbean, Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I also do a video version over on my YouTube channel, which is again at Life with Jode. And that's a wrap for me. I will speak to you on another episode of Life with Jode.